No, I don't hate Juan Williams, but I do pity the fool. All I need right now is that little black mohawk on the top of my head and some gold chains around my neck and on my knuckles. Because right now I feel like Clubber Lang when it comes down to whining Juan Williams. Yeah, he's back again, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you right now, Juan Williams must not watch my videos. If he watched my videos, maybe he might say to himself, you know what? I can't keep doing this. Kev from Kevin's Corner is going to let me have it if I get out there and say something stupid like I normally do. But he doesn't change. He's not repentive. He comes out again on the 5 today and says some dumb stuff. Now, over the weekend, a young boy decided to go into a mosque and shoot up some people. He was stopped by some heroes, and yet the media, the fake news media, wants to try to contribute this shooting to Donald Trump. Now, this right here blows my mind. This shows you that they're the fake news media when they always try to tell us, no, we're not. It's an attack on us. Donald Trump's making this stuff up. When you try to make a leap to connect Donald Trump to somebody and somebody else's behavior, and you don't even point the finger at the people who really you should be pointing the finger at, which is the people who went and shot up some people. But not only that, the people who did it didn't even like the president. I mean, I guess that's a great way to show him that they support him and love him. Go in, shoot up a bunch of people, and leave a note in your manifesto that I hate Trump. Okay, everything that Trump has been doing when it comes down to Jews has been positive. Nothing about his language, his behavior shows that he wants to inspire anybody to go and hurt Jews. So what is the media talking about? MSNBC, CNN. Well, Donald Trump might as well have just said to everybody, go and just kill up a bunch of people, because he just spews it out and I'm thinking, what rhetoric are y'all talking about? To the evil eye, everything is evil. To the evil ear, everything sounds evil. What they do is they take Trump's practical, logical, common sense statements about what's going on around the country and translate that into he hates people and he's divisive and he's inciting violence. Whereas them getting on TV every single day, talking about racism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, all of that stuff, and blaming it on Trump and all of his supporters are really inciting violence and it's dividing the country. But yet, once again, they want to pin some stuff on Trump. They said the New Zealand guy, inspired by Trump, he hated Trump. He didn't even like our Western culture. He said his ideology is more leaning towards China. That doesn't sound like make America great again to me. Then they tried to pin the whole thing that the stuff that took place in Pittsburgh, tried to pin that on Trump. That guy didn't like Trump either. Yeah, he was mad because, Trump loved the Jews. He hated Jews. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Then they're trying to pin this on Trump again. This guy hated Trump. What are they talking about? But yet, a terroristic attack was stopped today. Found out the guy was a former military guy who converted to Islam. They don't bring that up. They just say things like, well, he was a former military guy. Well, I think it's a key piece. Well, he's not motivated by anything else but the fact that he converted to Islam and now he wants to be a terrorist. See, but they don't want to say anything that might appear to look bad when it comes down to Islam. So now you get all these people to shoot up, blow up the churches over there. And yet nobody said anything about that. No, well, this is sad. These Easter worshipers, they should have the right to worship Easter if they want to. Yeah, is that good enough? Does that cover it? Did I say it okay? Okay. All right. Yeah, that's a wrap. So now you get this kid going in and doing something like that. And yet the media tries to blame Trump. Always. Okay. But this is where I want to throw up. Juan Williams comes out and just slings poop all over the studio. I mean, with this rhetoric he's about to say. Let's listen in.
What she sees as the most sacred thing in that temple. And, also Oscar Stewart, he was someone who also re-enlisted in the military after 9/11. He had been in the Navy and then in 2001 enlisted in the Army in order to defend his country. And he ended up having the wherewithal to know that if he were within 5 feet of that shooter with the rifle, that he...
This country right now, an epidemic of white nationalism terror. If this was Al-Qaeda or ISIS, we'd be talking about...
Okay, so here we go. Okay. Now, first of all, obviously, Juan Williams don't know what an epidemic is. An epidemic means that it's on such a scale that nobody should be able to go out the house. You should be saying, everybody, red alert, nobody go out in the street because there's an epidemic of white nationalists out there shooting people. That's what we should be hearing over the radio. Epidemic doesn't mean it happened once a year, every so often, okay? When he says it's a rise in white nationalism and it's an epidemic, that means we should be getting full rotation every day of people getting shot. Bubonic plague, epidemic, okay? Black plague, epidemic. Ebola, epidemic, okay? White nationalism and people shooting people because they're white nationalists, that's not an epidemic, Juan. Not an epidemic, okay? I don't think the average person in America walks around thinking at any second I could be a victim of some white nationalist deciding I'm going to shoot up whatever. So Juan wants us to believe this. Let me give you an epidemic, the border. Okay, see now, I got to help Juan out sometimes. Okay, if 1 or 2 illegal immigrants showed up every 5 months or so, okay, not an epidemic, not a big problem, okay? But when 5, 6,000, 500, 200, 10,000 showing up repeatedly, that's an epidemic, Juan. Competed behavior, consistent, happening all the time. That right there is an epidemic. But yet you say that's not a crisis. This, a shooting every once in a while, that's not an epidemic, Juan, okay? I'm not confronted in my everyday life by white nationalists, but he wants us to believe this is on the rise. It's an epidemic, and we got to do something about this. Once again, another effort by the left to deem any white conservative as a white nationalist to silence them from pushing back on a lot of their liberal narratives. So now everybody is a white nationalist. White guy kills somebody, period. White nationalist, white supremacy. They just throw those terms out so loosely nowadays. But let's listen to more of what Juan has to say, because now what he's trying to do is say that Trump would have been a lot more aggressive if it was some white people who got killed.
FBI task forces would be talking about running bombers over and to wipe out ICE. What we've got now, according to the FBI, according to the anti-defamation...
What we have now, according to the FBI, is the man who killed a lady and shot some other people. It's over, Juan. Why would we need to run a task force in this? This wasn't a terrorist attack. It was one white nationalist, some kid who says he's a white nationalist, still wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac, and yet at the same time, he decides, I'm going to be a copycat killer, try to go out in a blaze of glory, and it gets halted by some heroes. It's over, Juan. Why would, now, if this was a terrorist, then yes, usually terrorists work together, Juan, like what happened overseas. All those churches blew up simultaneously. That's one of those situations where you guys say, okay, everybody, let's lock it down. We need to find out if there's more people planning something like this. One white nationalist goes in, shoots up a synagogue, you catch the guy, you make sure that nobody else is around. Okay, so we got the guy. All right, let's wrap it up. Case solved. But Juan wants to make it seem like it would have been treated differently if it was, say, some terrorists or some people shot up some white people. And I'm thinking, there you go again. Always going to the race card, Juan. Always going to the illogical, impractical, and feeding into the emotional hysteria of a lot of people out there that listen to people like Juan Williams.
League is a tremendous spike, not only in racist activity, but anti-Semitic activity, typically directed against houses of worship.
Okay, so here we have lots of churches blown up, okay? Here we have 2 synagogues shot up, okay? These right here are people who, what? I mean, they're being attacked more than almost anybody else. So what are you talking about, Juan? I mean, the Democrats aren't the biggest supporters of the Jews last I checked, so why do you even care? You know, I mean, your party pretty much turned a deaf ear to the anti-Semitic rhetoric of Ilhan Omar. So President Trump isn't inspiring attacks on Christian churches. Okay, he's not inspiring attacks on synagogues. And frankly, he's not inspiring attacks on mosque or anything. He's simply talking about problems in the country. Illegal immigration, Juan, has nothing to do with racism. And if terrorism is a problem, it's not that he's condemning all Islam and all Islamic countries and all of that stuff. He's saying, let's focus on the terrorists and be careful so that none of them come into America. But I guess in Juan's eyes, all of that is nothing more than rhetoric to stir up and motivate people to do these type of things. Let's hear some more.
FBI statistics show that 37% jump in the last year in anti-Semitic attacks. And to me, you know, as I say, I don't know who's to blame. I'm not going to point fingers, especially not at President Trump.
Okay, now, you ready for the pivot? See, I'm not going to point blame at anybody, especially not to President Trump. But here comes the big but. Now, when you say but, that right there erases everything that you just said. Okay, so now Juan is still going to subconsciously try to pin this on Trump with this sneaky language. Listen to this.
But I will say this, that you have a situation in which lots of people who are on 8chan and all these other things identify with Trump and do think that they have been unleashed by this political environment over the weekend and why.
Now, is he talking about maybe Antifa? Is he talking about all the Americans that maybe feel like they should just attack anybody with a red MAGA hat on? And you mean all of that language and that rhetoric that made all these people in America feel like they're unleashed to attack speakers, conservative speakers, shut down freedom of speech, break windows out, drag people out the car, hit them with bike locks, burn up stuff, tip cars over, hit people in the head, throw pop on them, throw water on them. All of those people, Juan, the ones that listen to MSNBC, CNN, and people like you, Juan, people like you, and they sit in the TV and they're sitting there, you know what, this is a mess. If I see one of those MAGA hats, I'm going to go ahead and punch him in the head because Juan Williams wants me to think that they're all racist and they're white nationalists. See, but yet he's saying that all of these people on whatever chat, whatever, they like President Trump, and I guess it's inspiring them. But the people who actually are committing these crimes didn't like President Trump, Juan. So why are you trying to make this connection that isn't a connection?
Washington Politics and Prose, a well-known bookstore. You had white nationalists just rush in to try to shut down a guy.
Now, I don't know what situation he's talking about, okay? But he's talking about a guy who wrote this book at a bookstore. But see, here's the key thing. Right now, they use the term white nationalist so loosely that this could have very well been some people who are just against the policy that, or whatever this book is about, could have walked in and simply been white. And all of a sudden, just because they disagree with this guy and his ideology, now all of a sudden, they're not just white people. They're white nationalists. We don't know who's a white nationalist. They're making it up as they go. As they go, they will determine who's a white nationalist. For example, they're still calling President Trump a white nationalist. He hasn't done one thing to show me that he's a white nationalist. Not one. In fact, I don't recall him ever getting up and talking about white people in a way that would make me even think they were better than anybody else. Nothing. But yet Juan Williams is trying to slide this in. So I have to go back now because, see, you can't trust Juan. You can't trust him. Yeah, you can't trust him. He's weaselly. So now I don't even know what he's talking about, but I need to look into that because I'm going, they could have went in and just said, man, shut up. We don't want to hear what you got to say, blah, blah, blah. 4 white guys walk out. It's like they were white nationalists. We don't even know. But let's continue.
He was talking about a book. The book is called Dying of Whiteness, Politics of Racial Resentment Killing America's Heartland. To me, this is just so painful that we are in 2019 in a place like that. And we can talk about, what happened in Pittsburgh. We can talk about New Zealand. All these things are related. And to me, here in the United States right now.
Don't forget Sri Lanka.
Right.
Related.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, right now in America, we are in a moment where we are reluctant to acknowledge that.
Yeah, see, notice that? And I'm glad Greg called it out. Okay, he wants to tiptoe over any time Christians are attacked. Yeah, we don't want to shine a light on Islam and their participation in attacking Christians because they're a protected class now. They want to focus mostly on the white nationalists that they're trying to come up with, or even a person from another country, New Zealand. Don't even live in America. But Trump's responsible for that guy, even though that guy's manifesto said, I don't like Trump. Okay, but no, not Juan, because he's not operating in logic, facts, reality, nothing that. He's just straight up propaganda, okay? Proper, all right? He's like MC Hammer, propaganda.
Domestic terrorism.
Well, that's a
is
good point,
terrible.
because Democrats have been reluctant to condemn anti-Semitism, which I think is really critical, especially right now.
You know, David Duke supported Ilmar in a number of tweets, and I don't connect that to her. I don't. I think it's cheap.
I also think
it's cheap.
It's important to point out that the shooter in New Zealand, and the shooter in Pittsburgh, and the shooter here all said they hated Donald Trump. All right? So, Juan?
I said I wouldn't tie it to Trump directly. What I'm saying is,
I understand.
we
Let's just be
have
careful.
more white nationalist terror than we've seen in my lifetime, and yet I don't see people calling it out. It's an outrage.
I think we're calling out hate on all sides.
No, it's
Jesse wanted to punch him right in the face. Right in his face. I know it. I saw it in his face. He was just like, Juan. See, Greg and all of these reasonable people around that table got to bring this out. Like, listen, first things first, I didn't make the connection with Ilhan Omar and David Duke. I didn't blame her. All right. Then Jesse points out none of these people even like Trump. But then Juan, of course, comes back with something dumb once more and says, listen to this. He has not seen this much of white nationalism and attacks in his whole lifetime. Now, I'm not sure how old Juan Williams is. Probably about 65, maybe going on 70. Who knows? But nonetheless, maybe Juan Williams wasn't around back during the Jim Crow laws. I think, if he's about 65, he's probably back in the 40s, maybe something like that, 45, 50, somewhere around there, born in that era, where you go down south and people were still getting lynched sometimes. People would disappear. People were still getting their houses broken in, stuff burned up. That was a lot of white nationalism going on back then, Juan. And this man now is saying never in his lifetime. Maybe Juan looks just too younger than we think. Maybe he's like 25. I don't know. It just looks old for his age. I'm sure, who knows. But I don't think that's the case. So therefore, Juan now is dramatizing this. He's inflating it. He's trying to make it seem like never in my life have I seen anything like this. I can say some never in my life. Never in my life have I seen the press and the Democrats attack a president like they're attacking President Trump. Never in my life have I seen more people, illegal immigrants, coming to the border trying to get in. Never in my life have I seen free speech being attacked like it is right now. Never in my life have I seen the news become a propaganda station, fake news, and create narratives like that to divide the country. Those are real never in my life, Juan. But you talking about never in my life have I seen much. That's what I want to do right now to Juan. But I'm not encouraging violence. So if you're watching this video, here's my disclaimer. Please, if you see Juan Williams out, use your words. Don't give him the boxing gloves. Don't give him this, okay? I know it might rise up. Ooh, Juan. But just give him a verbal lashing. Don't put your hands on Juan. I don't think he's built for it tough anyway. Probably couldn't handle it, okay? So just lay off Juan physically. But give him a verbal. Just, Juan, what were you thinking, man? I just want to go out just to lunch with him and just let him sit across the table like, Juan, come here, man. What are you thinking, man? Are you, first of all, be honest with me, Juan. Are you serious when you say these things? Before I start letting you have it, please tell me, man, I don't even be serious about that, man. I'm just doing my job. They got my script out there. I'd rather hear that out of Juan than for him to say, I actually believe what I was saying. That would make it even worse. Anyway, enough of me ranting over Juan Williams. I could do a full-blown hour stand-up on just Juan Williams alone. But I won't. Not today. Anyway, check me out every Wednesday, 7:30, live in Kevin's Corner on YouTube, and also on my radio blog talk show. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and the notification button. And let's see, if you want to donate to Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link in the bottom to do that. And also check out Extreme Teas. You'll love their products. Go to their website, check out their products. If you like something, click on it. Put my name in the promo code, Kevin. You'll get a 20% discount. And finally, I'm missing thing. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and the notification button. I think I said that already. And if I didn't say this, check me out on Facebook and Twitter. God bless. See you next time at Kevin's Corner.